Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is HIDAYAH binti Azizi and we will be presenting the Islamic Banking and Finance assignment for our group, which is titled Ijarah. So Ijarah came from the Arabic word which is Ijarah, which means something that is given as a reward to an action. So there are different definitions of Ijarah from different mazhabs. So the first one is Mazhab of Hanafi. Mazhab of Hanafi has defined Ijarah, which means aqad on the benefit with payment. So the second is Mazhab of Maliki. Mazhab of Maliki has given a definition which means aqad of ownership on the benefits of something that is permissible in a certain time with payment. The third one is Mazhab of Shafi'i. Mazhab of Shafi'i has defined it, which means aqad on the benefit that is aimed and known, where it can be obtained through a certain payment towards something that is permissible with a certain payment. And the fourth one is Mazhab of Hanbali. Mazhab of Hanbali has defined it, which means aqad on a certain benefit that is permissible on a certain time to a certain ayn, or in a liability responsibility or an employment with a certain payment. So for the definitions that I've stated earlier, it is proven that the definition from Mazhab of Hanbali contains a more complete conditions as compared to the other definitions of Ijarah. And also it includes the divisions of Ijarah clearly, which is Ijarah to Ayn, Ijarah in a liability responsibility, and Ijarah with employment or service. It is also proven that Ijarah is a sale of benefit, which is a transfer of ownership on an asset or service or employment in a certain time through payment without being followed by the transfer of ownership on the asset itself. Ijarah's aqad did not have a transfer of ownership, but only the transfer of right of use from the lessor to the lessee. When the sales of the assets are permissible, then the aqad to the benefit are also permissible. There are a few dalils for Ijarah, but I will present to you two of the dalils. So the first one is from Al-Quran, from Surah Al-Kahfi, so ayah 77, which means, then they found out that there is a wall that is collapsing, and then they built it. The Prophet Moses said, if you want, of course you have the right to take the fee upon it. And then the second one is from As-Sunnah, which means from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah will not send upon you a prophet unless he herds goats. The companion asked, including you too? Then he answered, yes, I also herd goats with a fee of a few qirats. Qirat is dinar coins owned by bekas residents. So this shows that Ijarah is stated harus in Islam, where is completed in the dilals that I have explained to you earlier. Then moving on, we are going to the pillars of Ijarah. There are two opinions by fuqaha about the pillars of Ijarah. Mazhab of Hanafi thinks that the pillars of Ijarah are sirah that includes offer from the lessor, ijab, and the acceptance from the lessee, which is the kabul. Meanwhile, Jumhur Fuqaha from Mazhab of Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali thinks that there are three pillars of Ijarah as a whole and 6 detailed pillars, which is, the first one is sirah that includes offer from the lessor and acceptance from the lessee, ijab and kabul. And then the second one is mu'azir and musta'jir that includes parties involved with the aqad of the lessor and the lessee, which is the lessor is the mu'azir and the lessee is the musta'jir. And then the third one is the benefit and ujrah, which includes the benefits that will be used by the lessee and the rental fee on the usage of the said benefit.
Hi, my name is SAKINAH and I'm going to continue from AIDIL's part. So I'm going to explain about the terms and conditions of pillars of Ijarah. So for the first one is sirah. Sirah consists of ijab and kabul. It can be either in the form of words or otherwise, and it also can be an acts that are adopted in the usual, which is uruf. And the next one is mu'ajir and mustajir. They must have the ability, which is the ahliyah, and also sensible, which can extinguish between the goods and the bads, which known as tamyiz. And they both must voluntarily chosen to be in the contracts, and also they must be puberty. So the next one is manfa'an and ujrah. Manfa'an and ujrah must be valuable in syara, mustaqawim, and known in terms of durations or purpose accurately. It remains after the use of it benefits, and the rights belong to the lessee on rental periods, and also the amounts must be known accurately. Okay, so the next one is the divisions of Ijarah. Ijarah is divided into two, which is first al-Ijarah ala-a'mal, and the second one is al-Ijarah ala-a'in. Al-Ijarah ala-a'mal is related to employment or services, and it is divided into two types, which the first one is Ijarah khusus, and the second one is Ijarah mushtara. Ijarah khusus is Ijarah that is performed by an employee who cannot work from other than the person who give him the wages. And the second one, Ijarah mushtara, is Ijarah that is done together or through cooperations with others. So the next one is al-Ijarah ala-a'in. Al-a'in is the transfer of the right to use from a particular ain, which is goods or services, to another person by paying rents. Okay, so the next one is revocations of Ijarah. This means that Ijarah can be revoked from the first one, the akad party, which is the mu'ajir and the mustajir, cancel the akad with iqalah, which is the agreement between two parties to cancel the akad. And the second one is the end of the period that has been determined, which is the end of the lease rental agreement. And the third one is the rented benefits are ruined or damaged, and the last one of the parties die. This is from the scholars of Mazhab Hanafi.
Okay, next is the applications of Ijarah, which specifically in RHB Islamic Bank Berhad. For RHB Bank is offer product of Ijarah term financing I. This product is mainly used to finance the acquisitions of asset or properties or any asset that can be identified. In the end of the contract, the ownerships of the asset will be transferred to the customer, or known as tenant or lessee. The contract of Ijarah consists of the important features, which include the financing period, which in RHB, for Ijarah contract, the minimum period is for 1 year and maximum for is 10 years. And the amount of financing being stated by RHB is minimum 100,000 ringgit. However, there might be difference to other banks. The important features for the Ijarah contract is that the asset for the contract must be halal and Sharia compliance, which any asset not within this criteria might not be accepted to use the Ijarah contract. The bank also have right to charge or give compensate or rebate to the customer in Islamic term, takwin and ibrab. Since a customer who take the contract, Ijarah contract, has obligations to pay the deposits for the asset that will be financed. This is for the security to the bank, and they also have the responsibility to make a payment as per rule or agreed terms between both party, banks and customer itself. And they also have obligation to settle the full price of asset during the maturity period. This to avoid any future charge allocated by a bank. If the customer fail to make the payment as per agreed, there might be legal action that will be taken against them, which lead to the extra costs need to be bear by the customer. And this is the main risk that will be implied to this contract. And in conclusions, the Ijarah contract seem to be familiar to our daily life, as there are people who might use this contract to finance their house and cars. So I will say that Islamic financing is relevant even nowadays. That's all from me. Thank you.